Hi, everybody. I think today real good to see you. Let me bring in my co-host. Hey, how are you, Manny? Manny from
Hey,
the
how's it going, Mary? Long time
yeah,
no
good.
speak.
Yeah, exactly. Long time no speak. It's almost time for the holidays too. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
good
I
for
think
us
it's
to
it's
be.
about time we had this episode.
That's right. Exactly. So yeah, lots of things are happening in the AI field. Every day there's like new things. So that's the exciting things, with the field that we are in, and it's so much to talk about. So yeah, that's great. And yeah, so today, and Manny, you there, right, Manny? Yeah, it looks like
I
is
am
there.
here. Yeah,
Yeah, okay, yeah. I was just like noticing the networking connection was a little. Yeah, we have this behind the scenes like analytical network connection, but I noticed the bar was like low. It's like, oh no, don't go
Mm.
away. so yeah, that's
From
cool.
from my end, I'm seeing both of us have all the 5 bars up. So it
Yeah,
looks like the connection's great from this side.
it's
But
good from
if
this
you're
side.
seeing something else from the other side,
Okay,
then that might be a bit worrying.
that's right. Yeah, I think it's okay now. Yeah, maybe just for a split second. Okay,
Okay.
cool. Yeah. So as such, right? We today, right? We are back, and I like to say that today is already, even though yeah, we didn't, kind of do another episode for a while. That was back. The last time was when I was at KubeCon in November. So that's when I did that last episode, and then, but since then too, we wanted to go back to the previous episode too, and follow up with some of the things that we had missed in there. As such, right? We started talking, and then it's kind of inherently too. We kept talking about some things, and then we also found out that we didn't talk about some other aspects of that episode too. So this is the episode that we will be going back to the episode two, and essentially filling the gaps, and that's what we're trying to do. So yeah,
Cool.
but yeah. So, but then, like before we actually get into a bit of that aspect, we like to bring up some of the news that are happening in the general like AI and generative AI and large language models (LLM) news, right? I just thought it might be good too because as we are doing work, so much is happening, right? So many things are happening. So we just like to bring up. I think first of all, too, there's just a couple of like video generation or generating models that recently came out, and we were just talking about it too. There's the OpenAI, the Sora model, and even though yes, it got announced earlier in 2024, but finally too on December 9th, that's when we kind of all saw that it's been like officially released, right? In more of a, I believe it's the GA release of it too. So I can also share that the link to folks too, so if folks are interested in it, right? So let me kind of go over here in the links, and I would just quickly share that. So I just share this one. Let me also show on the stream. So that's the link. Is folks wants to take a look the OpenAI Sora
Mm.
video.
Tell us a little bit about what the Sora model is about from OpenAI. I
Oh,
mean, the title over there is quite clear, but maybe you want
that's
to expand a little bit on it. So
it's
when readers go and read the post you just shared, that they'll be able to connect better.
Sure, yeah. So as such, it is a text to video, video to text model, and so it's. I think they allow us to generate models or generate a video of up to like 20 seconds. Or am I correct? I've been
Hmm.
hearing different ones too.
Interesting.
Yeah, something like that, and that's actually quite good too. I look at some that's been like pre-made that they were showing. I think there's a dog, a super dog, it's like Superman dog or something doing things, and it looks very good, right? And so essentially, too, it's just generating videos based on
Hmm.
text. You can input the prompt and tell the Sora to generate a video.
Hmm.
So yeah, so from that perspective, is pretty cool too. Although it's not cheap, right? Because you do need to be on a premium open.
Yeah, I did. I read that $200 a month program
Yeah,
that they're
that's
soon
right.
going to release, or they've already released, where
That's right.
some people are paying around the $20 a month. If they
Yeah,
want pro services, they go to the $200 a month. That
ex-
is a that is going to be a massive jump for
exactly.
individuals, but maybe companies might opt for it, or
Exactly.
teams might opt for it. The ones who might
That's right.
find, um, like, I mean, I'm still wondering though, how useful it'll be to pay $200 a month just to get the text to video facility. But then that's a discussion for another time, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
totally.
please carry on with your
Oh, you carry
other.
on.
I'm
Yeah.
interested in knowing all the other additional news you've collected to share
Oh,
with
they're
us.
collected. Yeah. Okay. Although there's another one too that's also it's along the line of this, right? Let me kind of hide that on that. But there's also another one which is also about Sora and basically
Is
over
that
here
from
in the title.
TechCrunch? Okay.
TechCrunch, yeah. So I find that TechCrunch has some very up to date kind of news, and this one's also about Sora. But then basically, OpenAI says it has no plans for Sora API. So that might be interesting to folks too who are looking into needing text to video, video to text,
Mm,
or if you want to be programmatically doing some things, it doesn't
mm,
appear
mm, mm,
is supporting. But
mm.
whatever
This is
is,
this
yeah,
Yeah, this is definitely going to be competition for some of those video text to video ones already out there, like Runway and,
yeah.
I forget the names now. Um, what is it? HeyGen.
Oh, okay.
There's
That,
quite a few of them.
yeah.
Pixel. Um,
Okay.
I used to know them off the top of my head. I don't kind of remember them, but there's a
Oh,
whole lot of them. Maybe Sora's a little bit the latter in the release, but
yeah,
um, there
yeah,
are quite a few of them in the last 6 months. They've already been out there and storming the
yeah.
text to video world. So let's
That,
see how this plays out. As they say, the one who laughs last laughs the best, or one
yeah,
who claps last claps the best. So is that the
right.
same for these releases as well?
Exactly. So
Mm.
talking about video, right? I think that's also interesting when what I also noticed too also came out like 2 days ago or yesterday. That's Google too also came out with their
Mm.
own Veil. Yeah,
Hmm.
VEO
Hmm.
Veil. So yeah. And so that's interesting. And I haven't used it yet, but apparently, of course, everybody when they are selling their own things, they claim their things is the best in the world. And that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
article when I read it's realized, oh, Google says it's the best one better than
Mm.
the Sora. But I think it's up to everybody to try it out. Now I
Yeah.
didn't check though, haven't read detail, but I don't know if it's a lower cost or something to using it. That would be interesting to
It might
find.
be free to use in the beginning, and then you pay
And then you
as
pay.
when you finish your credits, or
Exactly.
when you have to do more additional
That's
advanced stuff, you might have to start paying for that. Yeah. But
exactly.
again, is this again another case of, if you see, Google has been a bit late in the journey, late to the party,
Yeah.
and it seems they are coming up with compelling products, if not,
Ex-
and they are quite competent across the board compared to some of the other models out there,
That's
some of the other products out there. Now, I'm not an expert and I'm not looking very closely into granular details,
yeah.
but from the onset, it looks like that
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
learning from the mistakes other people are making, and they're coming up with better,
Yeah.
compelling
That's right.
presentations.
Yeah. Totally.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
What more do you have?
One
There's
more.
probably a Pandora box full of
Pandora box.
goodies.
I
Mm,
have one more to show too. I just thought it may also be interesting. It's from Google, and this one they released their own reasoning AI model called
mm-hmm,
Flash Thinking Model. So that's interesting. I think it's just showing right all these, especially these big tech, they are moving towards more AGI. I think that's
mm-hmm,
what they're all trying to do. But I don't know. My thinking though, because just from not more anecdotal, nothing I'm doing deep research, but to me the
mm-hmm,
AGI will be actually very hard, first of all, to achieve. And I just don't know. And is it really necessary
mm-hmm,
to have bots to become able to think like humans? I think that's also something I'm questioning. It's my
mm-hmm,
personal opinion that I don't feel maybe it's not necessary. But to me, I feel that AI is good if they can enhance our lives, helping us
mm-hmm,
to do, cut down on the amount of work we need to do for something that's very tedious and time consuming. I think that should be the first goal, and then the other thing is to really help us to solve some problems that otherwise would be hard to solve by
Yeah,
humans. And I think that would be
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Basically, taking the cognitive load off us so we can do more creative thinking
yeah,
and drive these different agents, if you may,
that's right.
to start doing some of the tasks for us.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, you might have a whole network of agents you've set out to do your work.
that's right. Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, so those are the news of the day that we thought our audience may be interested in also knowing about too. But it's just that we did a bit of research looking at it and show it to you. So yeah, so okay, so after the news, I think we can also then get into our next item of discussion. Okay, and I actually did a blog post on the Java Advent calendar, so I can share that with folks too, and
Mhm.
basically,
Do you want to tell us what the Java Advent Calendar is for the audience who don't
oh
know what the
sure,
Java Advent Calendar is? And
sure,
yeah, thanks for sharing these things with us, because you don't want to keep good work like this, the best kept secret in the open. Because obviously, this has been on social media, both on Twitter and LinkedIn,
yeah.
and of course on the Java Advent Calendar's website itself.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right. So this is the link to it, but it's all I've also like highlighted it in the chat. So yeah, so if folks are interested too. So this particular article, I basically in more of an explorer kind of approach rather than saying this is how you do things, but essentially, first of all, I think we all know right now, especially in the generative AI field, agents and multi-agentic um, this kind of this topic has been talked about a lot. I think is one of the most kind of discussed or being researched into, or people, investors starting to getting into developing features or products or capability in this area. So that's was when I was asked to write an article. I thought it may be good to get into this exploratory kind of this approach, and also kind of test out the waters. And then in my case too, because I worked a lot with event streaming prior to my current role, and event streaming, reactive systems, if folks are familiar with reactive manifesto, that comes from Lightband, the company, right? It's dealing with really, highly responsive systems. And they are kind of all highly related to one another. The event streaming able to, do work, to enable work to be done asynchronously, dynamically, all of these things, and just much faster, right? You can do things, in other words, I think the layman's term would be real time. You want to do
Mhm.
things as it happens, data happens, you want to have things happen. So to me, I think I've been very interested too, and I've done some work with event streaming. I feel there's a lot of synergy, right, between event streaming and being able to apply those techniques to do uh, generative AI types of workload. And then especially now with multi-agentic, because then you have agents, each agent is responsible for certain tasks that they are good at, but you also need an overall agent to be able to orchestrate everybody's work together. And it's much like in in musical terms, if I use an analogy, it's like you go to a concert, you watch an orchestra playing, and each of the orchestra is has different instruments, different instrumentalists, and I'm doing violin, I'm doing trumpet, whatever, the drums and all these things, and they all need to come out and play their parts accordingly, and in a more, not like synchronized, but it's more just like in a highly coherent fashion. So then, you know, then the music will come out nice. Otherwise, too, if you're off a beat or something, and even like the sound don't mesh, it will be not good, right? So you need an orchestra, you need a conductor. So to me, it's like multi-agentic is that you also need like a main agent overseeing everything, orchestrating, making sure things are doing well in a workflow type of situation. So anyway, to me, I think also using techniques such as in event streaming. Now I can bring in, right, their event streaming involves like messaging. And messaging to one technique is to use a publish subscribe type of model, meaning you can have a broker be there, right? There messages being published, right? They, when something happens, you grab the data is now ready to be picked up. You can basically have a broker in between to deal with these messages. So, in other words, we can kind of leverage on event streaming to help with this type of workload. Now, I know I get into a little bit kind of more detail and probably should get more into discussion later too. But if folks wants to start taking a look in this article, is just I'm just kind of highlighting what we need to think about. And there are different types of orchestrator. You're doing or kind of like orchestra there. Well, what did I say? Sometimes you write the article and then forgot exactly what I write unless I put it in front of me. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that it would be interesting to see how we can kind of mesh in these different aspects of technology to make things work even better, and is what I feel. Yeah, so
Cool.
how about you, like Mandy? Have you worked also implemented any agents driven system kind of?
Haven't done that. I have thought about doing that. In fact, interesting
Mhm.
you bring this up. In 2018, I was working with a startup that got in funded to do a whole lot of AI related stuff. And one of the things I was discussing with the CEO was very close to what we have today as the
Yeah,
multi-agentic system, where
yeah,
each agent, at that time I didn't call it an agent, I called it a bot, or lots of brains, I call it a
uh,
network of brains or a network of bots.
yeah,
And each of them worked independently, had their own memory, had their own processing, had their own
yeah,
intelligence, but
yeah.
yet at the same time they were working in a swarm
Oh,
fashion. So
yeah,
you had something that was driving the swarm, and it's quite possible you could have a central uh, agent or bot
yeah,
controlling all of the bots, or you
yeah,
could have it decentralized, or you could have it um, where there are groups of swarms that are managed by one bot, and all of the bots that are managing groups of bots are
yeah,
managed by a higher hierarchy of bots. So
yeah.
you could have like a whole level of hierarchies. All depends on what the use case is. And the discussion was very theoretical. And
Oh,
come 2023, I think that's when the agentic thing started coming into play. And
yeah,
early 2024, agents were already, like, you see all articles. So I haven't developed anything yet, and I'm very enthusiastic in developing it. In fact, this is a great start. In fact, I'm thinking in the coming new year we
yeah.
should expand on this, maybe run an episode all on,
Sure.
maybe a couple of episodes on an introduction to agents and multi-agentic
Yes,
frameworks.
I
And
like
I
it.
think it's a great idea that you wrote this blog post right at the right time,
Yeah.
that we can, in fact, if you remember, I shared with you uh, this repo called conversational
Yes.
chatbots.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
I haven't written a
Mhm.
multi-agentic system,
Yeah.
but I kind of prototyped it. This was
Yeah.
almost 2 years ago. This
Yeah.
was just at the end of the pandemic, actually, or during the pandemic, I think,
Yeah.
or just at the end of the pandemic, and when we just came out of the pandemic. I wrote this at a hackathon
Yeah.
where I was competing with a whole lot of people, and Meta had run a hackathon here in London,
Ah.
and around that time, I kind of demonstrated this um, where actually um, you have a central chat server
Yeah.
that connects with all the other uh, agents or bots, whatever you call, and they exchange messages amongst each other. And each
Oh.
of the bots could be written in a flavor of language of its own. They talk to
Yes.
each other with a very universal protocol,
Yeah.
REST APIs.
Yeah.
And so that means the server can be written in any language,
Yeah.
the client can be
That's
written
right.
in any language as long as they
Exactly.
follow the REST protocol.
Yeah.
And the clients can be running any model, right? It can be a Java
Mhm.
based model, it can be a Python model, it can be a PyTorch model, it can be an LLM,
Yeah.
and they're all sending messages to each other.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's not precisely where agents and agentic framework is going,
Yeah.
but if you think of this from a certain perspective,
Yep.
that very early stage multi-agentic or
Yeah.
agentic
That's pretty impressive.
topology, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
if you now bring that in today's time, and
Yeah.
thinking of, because there is event streaming happening right there, but it's not been done
Yeah,
in the sophisticated manner in which you've explained in this article.
that's right.
And
Yeah.
then we can take this example. The repo is still online. It's on my GitHub repo.
Okay.
Those
Yeah.
who know how to get to it,
Yeah.
you already have the repo URL address.
That's right. Yeah.
So we can, in the coming new year, we could, or if anybody else in the
Yeah.
audience wants to do that and beat us to it, we
Yeah.
can take that
Mhm.
repo and enhance
That's
it further and make it such that we have agents
yeah. Mm,
talking to each other, either
totally.
to a centralized. See, the example I wrote
Mm-hmm.
was more like a centralized hub where the hub is receiving all the messages from the bots, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we could also have it decentralized where their bots don't have a server they're writing to.
Mm-hmm.
They could be sending messages to each other. Of course, it needs to be collected somewhere in the center, right?
Yeah.
Something needs to collect the message and disperse it to them.
That's right.
So they could still be decentralized where they're running on their own
That's
and
right.
they're dropping messages somewhere and
That's
picking up
right.
messages from somewhere,
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
And we could do it in that fashion.
Yeah.
Or they could be receiving messages and sending messages to each other, and
Exactly.
those messages get sent around. So they do the
Exactly.
job of dispersing the messages to the
Exactly.
others
Yep.
who are closest to them, and those who are closest to them send it to them,
That's
and
right.
then so on and so forth. So then could do it in a decentralized fashion as well. But
Ex-
that's just an idea, right? So
mm-hmm.
maybe we could start off with an centralized fashion first, solve
Exactly.
that problem, and then make it decentralized.
Yeah, totally. I think
Yeah,
that's the idea. The event streaming is very good in terms of decoupling all of these
correct,
components.
correct.
So you can independently be scaling, independently be doing things, and they don't interfere with one another, what
Yeah,
they're
they're not
doing.
dependent
But,
on each other,
but
and they're very independent of the language system protocol. So
exactly.
one of them could be running on Windows, one of them could be
Yeah.
running on
Um,
Linux, one of them could be running on
yeah.
Mac OS.
Correct.
One of them could
Yeah.
be running using written in Python, the other one in Go, the other one in Rust, the other
Ex-
one in Java, you name it, shell
yeah.
script maybe even.
Exactly.
Um, and
Totally.
that was also another angle to the project, which not many people saw immediately,
Mhm.
was that by coming up with a demonstration like that, I was trying to
Yeah.
show that how you can make systems
Yeah.
that can be decoupled and independent of each other,
Yeah.
and still achieve so much.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, because exchanging messages is like the simplest form of communication, right? Exchanging
That's
text
right.
messages was the simplest form of communication.
Exactly.
We could also open up, like somebody who was looking at the example, he did a great job of actually
Hmm.
implementing WebSockets. So you could actually
Yeah.
connect to the server through
Hmm.
your browser and
Yeah.
open up a chat window through the browser and
Yeah.
then start writing messages in it.
Yeah.
So all he did was he created a WebSocket. So any client that could connect with the server using via the WebSockets could
Yeah.
connect to the server.
Yeah.
So you see,
That's
so
that's right. Yeah.
it doesn't have to be just REST API calls.
Yeah.
It could be a
That's
WebSocket
yeah.
connection, right?
Totally. Totally.
So the
Exactly.
protocol is again
Yeah.
open as long as the
Exactly.
client is connecting to the server with that protocol.
Yeah. That's right. And that's essentially too. If you think of using pubs up kind of
Yeah,
model
yeah,
is a
but I'm
hunter.
not sure. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that deviates away from the agentic approach and the multi-agent approach, because
Yeah.
I think the agentic and the multi-agentic approach is more about task dissipation, task planning,
Yeah.
and task management. If you
That's
look at the idea of agentics
oh
and
yeah.
multi-agentic approach, right?
That yes.
Now, to
That's
do
right.
that, I mean, of course, event streaming is at a certain layer playing a role there,
Yeah.
but the agentic layer is a higher level layer,
Yeah.
in my view,
Totally. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
under the hood you could do
Yeah.
event streaming. One agent is doing event streaming only, another agent is only doing
Oh yeah.
rest
Yeah.
only, another
That's
agent is doing, but they're doing tasks, like they need to be
yeah.
executing certain tasks. Like for example,
Exactly. Yeah.
the thing I talked about is only chatting with each other
Yeah.
and sending messages. It's not
Yeah.
doing any actions, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
the multi-agentic approach is trying to take a task,
Yes.
discompose the task into smaller
Ex-
pieces,
yeah.
and the orchestrator is passing those tasks onto the
Yeah.
agent for them
That's
to go
right.
and
Yeah.
execute it. Now, there's
Yeah.
a lot of different things that need to be done there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Error handling,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
graceful error handling,
Yeah.
uh, reliability,
Yeah.
robustness,
Yeah.
right?
And then yeah. And I
Yeah,
did. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
error handling and failure management as well,
Failure. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
itself could shut down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but also at the same time it
exactly.
could face a failure when trying to, like, for
Yeah,
example, say one of the agents is given the task of scraping a website and suddenly the website
yeah,
is a
that's
404, gives you
that's right.
404. So what do? What does the agent do?
Yeah, that's right.
All
That's
those things
right.
need to be managed, need taken
Totally,
into consideration.
totally, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
talking to LLMs might give them a rate limiting issue.
Oh yeah,
What do,
exactly. Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's a very good point. And in fact, yeah, and that's what it is. Then you get into the event streaming because we deal with also with back pressure as well. We're I mean, I could go on and on. Right, back pressure.
Yeah, so I
Too
think
many
yeah,
messages, and
so
you have to
it's very
control
specific.
all these. But that's the thing is, to me, it's like the event streaming. Use it as a lower level, more
Correct,
infrastructural
correct,
control, and then you
correct.
can enable the higher level
Yeah,
multi-agentic thing to communicate
yeah,
properly.
and not, it may not apply to every agent,
Yeah,
because
that's right.
depending on what the tasks are, if
That's
all the
right.
tasks, all the agents have doing similar tasks, it may
Exactly.
apply to them, but it may not apply to all the agents if they're not doing the same tasks.
Yeah,
Right.
totally, totally. But it
So
is
that's,
true. We
yeah,
yeah. Let's
and we
plan
can
an
up,
episode. Yeah,
yeah, we can expand on this in the
yeah,
new year. Come new
exactly.
year,
I
I
will
think
be
that's a
happy
great
to.
time to start expanding on it in the
Yeah,
new year.
uh,
But
uh,
let's carry on with the next
that's
things that
right.
you have
Yeah,
in
yeah,
your Pandora's box, Mary.
Pandora's box. Yeah, I wish. Yeah. Okay. So need to look for my thing, my back into our notes, and where did my notes go? Okay, here we go. Yeah. Just have to look for the window. I have all these tabs. So, okay. So the next thing we want to talk about is back to our episode 2. As I started this episode, we're saying that let's go back, do a review, and fill in the gaps. So yeah, so we can then go back, maybe do a little summarizing of episode 2, right? We essentially talked about the evolution of AI, right? The giving historical context of how we went from discriminative AI or traditional AI to the generative AI as it is today, and we did the comparison, and then also talk about natural language processing, how it evolved, I should say, and it's still evolving like that. And so now we can go back to essentially filling in the gaps. Or Manny, do you have anything you want to kind of bring up to as we're
So
doing the review?
I
So
think if we have summarized what we just said as the what we did in episode 2, I think there are things we want to talk about that we couldn't talk about in episode 2, right? Because obviously in a given
that's right.
45 minutes conversation we
Yeah,
can only cover so much, right? So
exactly.
I think there were a bunch of things that we didn't cover,
Yeah,
things about real world applications. We may have touched a little bit of it
yeah,
in episode 2.
yeah,
Then the limitations and challenges that both discriminative and generative AI have.
yeah,
Then the verification process, right?
yeah,
Uh, what does the verification process mean?
yeah.
And it's becoming fairly important. And I'll actually cover a little bit on that in addition to what you might want to cover.
Right. Yeah,
Um, and
yeah,
then there's a future outlook to all of these, where it's going from
yeah,
all of the things we are talking about: traditional, generative, discriminative. Where is it going actually,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
That's right.
So
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, do you want to throw a little bit light on real world applications that you know of? Then uh,
Oh
and I
yeah,
can cover some,
sure.
and then we can take it from there.
Sure, sure. Yeah, that's right. So every time we work on things, we want to know, what are some of the real world applications that are leveraging on these technologies. So I'd say, you know, um, we can find it discriminative AI, generative AI across many different industries too. And basically, I think, we can see it. I think to me, I think the financial industry definitely it's one, kind of industry that's can make use of it, and essentially too, I think if it's like predictive too, we see it happening. People are doing business forecasts, and is essentially too predictive will leverage also on like statistical models too, and then based on past data, and there's also kind of training the models to look at past data and being able to make predictions, right, based on also on the statistics around it too. So I'd say the kind of like financial will be like good areas, yeah, good example of where we can see a lot of you know uh, examples too, right? Like
Yeah,
financial stuff, for example, like credit scoring and
yeah.
like that, right? Insurance company, I'm sure too,
Hmm.
will using that
Yeah,
to
the stock market is using a lot of discriminative AI, which they may not be talking about. Well, I'm saying
yeah,
stock market. It's more like the trading and financial services and
yeah,
the related industries.
exactly.
Obviously, within reasons because they're highly regulated. So
That's right.
areas where they need to weigh in
Yep,
human in the loop, because they need
that's
to
right.
confirm from an SME that
Yep,
what they're showing on the screen is the right thing. I
that's
think
right.
they might be doing whatever they're doing.
That's
The health sector is doing a
mm-hmm.
lot of it.
That's
Like a lot of the equipments and
yeah,
processes are like computerized. Like for example,
that's right.
eye tests.
Yeah, yeah,
Scanning. A lot of the scanning
yeah.
is optimized
Mm,
through using computers. A lot of OCR is used in the health and pharmacy industry,
yeah,
you know,
that's right.
for just scanning documents and digitalizing it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right.
and the list goes on with where we are using,
Yeah,
uh, yeah,
that's
for
right.
basically diagnosing images and coming up with
Yeah,
descriptions. And of course, there's an expert looks at it and validates and verifies that.
yeah.
But it's happening at the discriminative AI level where
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah,
ones and zeros or probabilities are thrown in
that's
to
right.
say how highly probable it is this or that,
Yep,
and then an expert is looking into it, and then facts are produced for
that's
those different things, and then the expert weighs in to say actually it's right here, it's not right here, let's
that's
look into this, this is not certain, let's look into this further. And so
mm-hmm.
diagnoses are becoming more
Yep,
like efficient and effective and
yeah,
streamlined.
that's right.
Obviously the healthcare is also a highly regulated place.
Yes, totally.
So
Yeah,
to what
that's
extent,
that's right.
where they are fully accepted and used and where they are not used is very
That's right.
much subjected to, we don't know for sure,
Yeah,
but it's very much subjected to where the regulation is weighing in
that's right.
that we need human confirmation and SME confirmation, an expert or a doctor's confirmation
That's
to
right.
say that what, how are you coming to this conclusion.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
So that would be the discriminative AI, right? But then there's the generative AI
Yes,
angle
yes.
to all of this. What's your view on that, Mary?
One with generative AI. Yeah, interestingly too, I do have to cite some examples. I was talking to a company based in Chicago. They do very sophisticated like insurance, like a car accident type of insurance, right? Pay out and pay for all these things. And when I talked with them, they said they in fact, yeah, have been doing using AI machine learning long before Gen AI came into existence. And but the thing is, interestingly, Gen AI too, even for a company who's so good, at AI and machine learning, they obviously kind of review to see what Gen AI can do. And but they were saying that because of the non-deterministic nature, so they are less trusting of Gen AI, but they do use
Mhm.
it though for kind of what it is good at, right? The generative side of things. And sometimes if they need to have images and things like that, right, in an insurance claim thing, they might they have different pictures for proof and all that. They would use it for Gen AI types of usages as well. So like I think dealing with like even like from talking with them, so they are using a combination of discriminative AI and generative AI technologies. But the Gen AI side, they actually would be using it more for from the image to text or text to image type of usages.
Mhm.
Just simply because they don't feel, if you're doing something more serious, it's just a little, kind of not as trustworthy. It is what I know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, and then of course too, I think day to day nowadays, right? Because of generative AI, it has in fact, bring AI more like to the more the consumer level. We can now use our phone and ask Gemini. I have Android phone, so using Gemini, you can actually ask questions. So from that perspective, I think on a consumer level is many
Mhm.
usages, and those are kind of specific task oriented stuff, right? It's not serious about book me an airline reservation. That it still can't do it, but at least if you want to ask it's a question, you can use the interface to ask question. I mean, even now chat gpt, you can ask question and get answers, and writing a blog article, and you can have it helps you write, do your writing work and things like that. And I know talking to some marketing friends too, they said they use it a lot to help them generate sometimes marketing promotion materials, things like that, and they just use it to generate those kind of work. So certainly, to generative AI has its kind of specific usages, and of course, as programmers ourselves, and there are GitHub Copilot or any kind of code generation. It can help too a lot, and to speed things up. And I think, as Manny you talked about earlier too, some of the more kind of tedious work, and we can kind of essentially have the Gen AI bot to do things, those kind of repetitive things, or kind of would take a lot of time consuming, kind of more kind of fixed way, I suppose, right? Fixed way of doing things. It can do it well, but I still think, like you said, there's still the human in the loop still needs to fill in some of these things too. I think it
Yeah,
is getting better, right? Yeah, but it's
yeah,
just yeah, but it's also expensive. That's another thing, right? It's a sustainability aspect is an expensive
yeah, yeah.
thing too. So that's another thing.
Yeah, a couple of other things, a couple of other applications, and there's so many of them to name,
Yep.
like generating images from text,
Yeah, that's
right?
right. Yeah.
That's one thing that people are doing a lot. It's one of
Yeah.
the applications. I don't know how much of that is. So people are actually, now a lot of the free, a lot of them are available for free for some time, and
Yeah.
then when people get hooked onto it, they start, like,
That's,
charging for
yeah.
them.
That's right. That's
So
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
so basically, there are services that are charging,
Yeah. That's right.
and that's where they're making the money.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's yeah.
and so that is an application.
Yeah.
um and also,
Yeah.
the other one was,
Yeah.
customer service using chatbots is a big application
Yeah.
that is happening everywhere now.
Yes. Totally.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's something that's taking on in wildfire. And people are using that as an example to, um, come up with lots of applications from different angles. Like, there are lots and lots of
Yeah.
ways you can do a chatbot,
Yeah.
some more sophisticated than the other. So yeah, I think let's move on to other areas as well,
Sure.
right? We can go on talking
Sure.
about applications. Like, what's
Sure.
what what's the next on your list, Mary?
Next on my list, yeah, I think yeah, we talked about these real world applications. There are also like limitations and challenges. Do we want to talk about that too, basically, um, or yeah, is it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Whatever you
Okay.
want to
Fair
say,
enough. Oh yeah,
we
yeah,
can,
sure,
make it
sure.
a discussion.
Yeah. So it's basically too, right? I think it applies to either discriminative AI or generative AI. Essentially, to what comes out of generative. Let's say comes out. It's really depending on what you feed in, right? The data itself. So an example would be right. Let's say in a the limitations is that you train some data set, and the data set maybe is just based on data in a certain population, right, of one kind. Then if you try to ask question when it's the model is trained, and then you try to ask questions and give a more an answer that's more fair, then it won't be able to do so, right? I mean, a typical example is would be like your data is trained on maybe a population is white or something, and then you want to look for some information from it, then maybe like in a more broader neighborhoods looking for houses and what are the prices and stuff, but maybe it doesn't come out with something very fair in that case, because your your basic information is trained on certain population, their choice of house and whatever it is, right? So that would be like one example, I think, of that. And then of course too, also for generative AI side, right, there we can have hallucinations as well, in what gets generated, or even to me, right, not just in text generation too, but as such, right, hallucinations happen when your model doesn't have the answer exact, doesn't know or doesn't have the exact answer. Then instead of kind of telling you, it doesn't have the answer, it's trying to help, and then I think trying to help and give you answers that completely be off key as well, like that. So there could be hallucinations in that case. And I like to actually quote an example I just thought was funny, and a bit funny, because in the early days when I first started playing with when Gen AI came out, and I was playing around with with the older model. What is it? GPT 2.0, because
Mm.
it's smaller and everything. And I was back at my previous company because we had somebody who wrote this is a Java implementation called what is it called? My God, JLlama Java
Mm.
is a Java open source library, his
Mhm.
hobby thing, and we work with GPT-2. And I remember, I brought up, there's a simple interface, a dialogue, a JavaScript dialogue. So I was just asking, who is this a guitar player or something, right, random. And so instead, what it came back with was shocked me, because the LLM, the GPT-2, that particular version, ended up swearing at me, kind of like saying that, "Oh, you crazy? Are you crazy?" And then say some nasty words of saying that you shouldn't
Oh
even
wow.
be asking me this kind of question. That was shocking. I don't know if I can reproduce it. I mean, I have the code to this JLlama too. So it was a little shocking. It was a bit kind of bad hallucination in which you feel like you're being yelled at. It's kind
Yeah.
of, so that's an extreme case,
Yeah.
but
So that's hallucinations under the generative AI, right? Let's think
yeah,
about limitation challenges in the discriminative AI itself, right?
yeah,
For
yeah, yeah.
example, and those limitations and challenges are going to repeat
That's
even
right.
in the uh, LLM, the generative AI world, isn't it? Like, for example,
Yeah,
bad data in, bad
yeah,
data out,
yeah. That's right. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Then
yeah.
we have um, biases in the data,
Yeah,
like issues with AI ethics in the data.
mm-hmm.
Is going to produce models,
That's
which is going to produce the same issues on the other end,
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
So things like that are basically going to trickle even into the description. So the hallucination issue is a generative AI issue,
yeah,
whereas in the discriminative issue you don't have hallucination, but you have incorrect answers, right? You could have a
yeah.
whole number of scores generated
That's
that you
right.
cannot correlate
Yeah,
with
that's right.
that's coming in from the input, right?
That's right.
And
Yeah,
only an expert will able to say. And in
yeah,
fact, if we don't do a proper mapping between the business metrics and the
yeah.
business outcomes with
That's
what's coming out from the models, which
mm-hmm.
what's coming in from the data that's going into the models,
Yeah.
then it's going to be annoying, right? It's going to
Annoying.
be, yeah,
Totally,
yeah.
totally. Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So yeah, that's
and 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 we have something similar going on at the moment. Like, for
yeah,
example, I'm able to hear some sort of a music
yeah,
playing in the
yeah,
background, and I'm
yeah,
not sure if you're able to hear the same kind of music.
yeah,
What
yeah,
if
yeah.
this is generated by AI on
Oh
this
yeah,
streaming studio?
that's true. That could be too. Yeah, that's true.
Are you
Yeah.
are you able to hear the same music I'm able to hear?
Yeah, yeah. I think so, right? I don't know if you're hearing the same thing, but yes, definitely I have this music playing as well. But yeah.
Is that
So
is that consciously like, is it part of the streaming platform doing it? Is it AI doing it? Is it
oh, oh,
personally
I
set up
see.
by
I
you,
see.
or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's actually set up by me. It's just I'm
mm,
paying. Okay, so playing the music, you have to make sure, right? It's not violating the music. There's a DMCA, right? And with streaming, and so
mm.
these are like license. These are like non-required license music. So anyway, but I got a collection of that, and I'm just playing them in the background. So it gets picked up, but I had to set it up so then it's kind of piping it correctly to the channel, so you can hear it, which is good. So yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah. Anyway, but it is, yeah. It is not coming with the streaming platform. It's something I have attached to it. So
Okay?
yeah,
And
yeah.
is it something that you can enable, disable, or is it like generated by AI?
Oh, I see. It's me as a manual enablement.
Hmm.
So yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
anyway, but yeah. So
Um,
that's one thing. And yeah, so we should also talk about, maybe next thing is basically almost we can wrap up to, is essentially, right, filling the gaps in episode 2. And one other aspect that we didn't kind of cover
yeah.
in episode 2 was about AI verification too.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I was just wondering, can we pause on this music that's playing in the background, actually, for the remaining part of the session, for this, for our chat, because then we can go on to the AI verification.
Oh,
Um,
you mean you want to go back to the music stuff? Yeah.
no, no, just like pause on the music.
Pause.
Just
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can pause it too. Yep. Yep.
cool, cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the AI verification
Very good. Yeah.
section.
Sure.
Um,
Yep. That's
Cool.
right.
Do you want to kick it off, and then I'll
Sure.
carry
And
through.
then you can also, yeah, talk. Okay, so essentially, too, we're the concept is that we're trying to use one AI system, use it to verify the output of another. So I guess in other words, we're just using one LLM to test the other LLM too, right? So yeah, so now I have never done it, but I think it would be interesting too. It sounds like maybe Manny, you have had experience using
Well,
LLMs.
I think if we going back to the discriminative world, right, where there is no one LLM with another LLM, it's
Yeah,
using one AI system to verify
yeah,
with
yeah.
another AI system,
That's
right?
right.
But
Yeah,
I think even before that, it's the AI system being verified by a SME,
yeah, yeah,
right,
yeah.
subject matter expert,
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
right?
Yeah,
So the how do we do that basically? So
that's right.
it is, how was this done in the discriminative world? The
Mm,
discriminative AI world was whatever the whatever was the AI solution was verified by business, was
yeah,
verified by the subject matter expert, right?
yeah,
Whereas in the LLM world, you can do that as well,
yeah, that's
but
right.
then
Yeah,
it can be quite tedious because it can be laborious, and
yeah,
you want to do this verification way before it goes to the SME, right?
yeah.
Sometimes, because you might have to come up with lots of different variations of this,
Hmm.
and before you can't be expecting the SME to constantly verify the
Yeah,
variations.
that's right.
um, and I haven't done this personally, but I have seen this happen, and I've seen this being done. And basically what you're doing is it's similar to what we did in terms of the 10 test train valuation pipeline
Yeah,
evaluation pipeline, where we
okay.
have the training pipeline which trains the model with the
Yeah,
data. You have the test that tests has seen data, which means data that we know the results from,
yeah.
and we test use that test data against the training model to see
Oh,
what does the training model trained model give us an answer, and we compare
oh,
that answer with the known answer. That's called seen data. Then we
oh.
also have unseen data,
Mm-hmm,
where we we don't have the answers to. We see what
mm-hmm.
the model comes with the answer, and then that evaluation can happen by talking to an SME that goes through it, you know.
Okay.
Um, and so we have something similar. That principle there of testing a model using seen and unseen data can
Yeah,
also be done with the generative AI models, right? We can
yeah.
have we
Mm,
can have LLMs that have been trained with uh, or which goes and asks questions to
mm-hmm.
the other LLM, and then verifies it with the answers it already knows, and
Yeah,
then flags the other LLM to say, no, you got this wrong, no, you got this wrong, no, you got this wrong, no, this is right, this is wrong.
yeah,
and
yeah.
then and then that can be used repeatedly when the LLM being that's been trained, that's
Yeah.
been tested, is being tested with the other LLM, right?
Oh,
That
okay.
is a lot more efficient than SME going through each of the
Yeah,
answers.
good
And there could be
answers.
hundreds and thousands of them, right? And this is
That's right.
and then the LLM that's actually verifying the answer,
Yeah,
that can be made from various. You can make a various configurations, right? You can have a
yeah,
set of 100 questions and answers of this category,
yeah,
another set of 200 from another category, and so on and so forth, and they all can fire those questions at the LLM that's been trained,
yeah.
and then getting an answer from it. Now that's one way of doing it, and I've seen similar examples.
Mm-hmm.
People, these are called judge models,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Judge LLM, yeah, because they're judging another LLM,
Watch
and
out.
so
Yeah.
the outcome of this can be as good as
Mm-hmm.
any other situation. Like now they'll say, oh, does the LLM that you're using to judge as good as
That's
the anything else? I mean, you have the same problem where you
mm,
have an SME that's going to be judging an AI solution
yeah. That's it.
based
Yeah,
on the strengths and the weaknesses and flaws of the and the knowns and the unknowns the SME has. They're going to be able to judge the model very well or not,
yeah. That's
right?
right. Yeah,
So
yeah,
and there are pros and cons to it, right? The SME may not know everything.
yeah,
They may know with certain subjects, whereas an LLM can be trained on the
mm,
LLM judges can be trained on wide varieties of them,
yeah,
and we
yeah.
can go on back and forth with this. Like, is that good enough? It's
Oh,
just having
okay.
like a room full of experts
Yeah,
verifying other experts,
yeah. That's
right?
right.
For example,
Yeah,
when someone goes to do a PhD dissertation submission,
yeah.
I think there's a whole array of panel of people that will be cross questioning their work, right?
Yeah, that's
So
right.
those
Yeah.
array of people are all
Yeah.
experts in some field, or
Yeah.
a whole group of fields.
Yeah.
What if all of them have deficient in many things that they're not capable, and there's never been probably a case, and if there is one, then we
Yeah.
don't know, but will they be able to assess the person who's submitting their dissertation with fairness?
That's right.
Right, it's
Yeah.
quite possible they might give the person, hand in the PhD or a doctorate degree to the person,
That's right. That's right.
or they
Yeah.
may not be able to hand it over because they
Yeah.
think that they are not capable. There are those cases where judges will say, well, the panel will say that, sorry, I don't understand that subject well enough, I can't comment on it, we
Mm.
need to take this to this other group that are more well versed with it. So we haven't reached that stage with the
Oh,
LLMs yet. We're still in the
okay.
early stages where we are trying to put experts together,
Mm.
expert
Okay.
models together, or judges, LLM judges together, to
Yeah.
be able to judge another model
Another one.
on certain
Yeah.
criteria.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that's where we are at a very early stage of AI verification. We can't
Oh,
say
yeah.
for certainty where we are, how good it is,
Yeah.
um, and that's kind of what I'm thinking about. So the concept is how I've explained it. It's
Yeah.
basically called fact checking of what the model outputs using a
Okay.
specialized verification model. Now,
Okay.
this verification model is as good as
Yeah.
any other real world
Yeah.
replica you can think of, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That's
How is something in the real world? Let's put the AI and computers aside. How are
yeah.
things in the real world verified?
Yeah.
You have a
That's
process, you have a panel, you have blah de blah. Now
yeah.
bring that in the AI world and you try to
Yeah.
emulate each of them. It's going
That's
to be
right.
as good as humans putting it together, right?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
So that
That's right.
and the example for that is
Yeah.
like fact checking whatever
Yeah. That's right.
anything outputs. Like for example, I'm still not sure if ChatGPT, for everything it answers, tells you and cites you the references where it got the answers from. You
Oh.
might need to ask
Yeah.
it every time. But
Yeah.
Perplexity AI, for example, does a much better job.
Oh.
Probably
Oh.
there are other
So,
services that do something similar. Perplexity
okay.
AI gives you a list of citations for everything it always comes up with,
It always comes. Oh. Okay.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is a better verification system than what ChatGPT does, maybe,
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
So that's
That's right.
another example of AI verification.
Of every day. Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, yeah. But I can still see it. There's still require a lot of human in the loop kind of to verify, right? As you said, if it's using an LLM to verify, it's still in progress, which means now, I mean, I guess it just goes back to me. I feel like when people said, they are afraid of losing jobs because of AI, I just don't think so, because then this kind of thing we still need human
Yeah.
in
What
between
people have
too.
forgotten to see is that, now this is a slight diversion in the conversation, is that
That's
we've created ourselves a lot of work,
yeah, that's
right?
right.
And the
Yeah,
people who are doing the other old-fashioned traditional work,
that's right.
they need to learn how to do all of this work that we are learning to do
Yeah,
now,
true.
right?
That is true.
And
Yeah,
those some of those or many of those processes and tasks and functions may disappear,
yeah,
only for new tasks and functions and processes to appear.
yeah.
And for
That's
them to be managed, you need human in the loop for those tasks. So
yeah,
now if those people whose task functions are disappearing or transforming into this new ones, if they're not ready enough and they're not seeking for that new task function, whatever it's called, they're
yeah.
never going to be able to find that new role that they're fit for.
There was some. Yeah, yeah. Totally,
Yeah.
totally.
But
Yeah.
some of them might be just caught by surprise because some
Mm-hmm.
processes and tasks don't get transformed at all,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
You're right.
Because they live in an ecosystem where they're
That's
serving
right.
each other,
Yeah,
and they're self-sufficient, and they
yeah,
are not affected by
yeah.
other
uh,
ecosystems around them where these
Ex-
things are changing, right?
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Totally.
So so the AI verification, if we come back to
Mm-hmm.
it,
Yeah.
then needs a combination of human in the loop and automated
And
systems. But
automated.
these
Yeah.
automated systems should be transparent enough to say,
Mm-hmm.
here are the validations and verifications and
Yeah.
assessments done.
That's
These are
right.
the confidences, and these are the outcomes. You
Mm-hmm.
make the final call.
Mm-hmm.
The
That's right.
human makes the final call.
Yeah.
Eventually, when that whole process gets mature and better, and we
Mm.
get really good at finding out really what are the bounding boxes around which these things
Yeah.
are good uh, within these confidence levels. And when the confidence levels are lower, we bring human in the loop, and the confidence levels are higher and is verified and tested by some of these litmus tests, and they pass all those litmus tests, like how you do in chemistry, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The, how
That's right.
how how all the other fields verifying something. How does field of medicine or engineering
That's
or science, right? Like science.
yeah.
I'm talking about the
That's
astronauts and
right.
the the astronomy and
That's
and
right.
other sciences and mechanical engineering, you name it.
Yeah.
How are they verifying something in their fields? Like, are
Yeah.
they going and just saying, "Oh, when we put this thing together and we got this result, oh great, let's go to production"? They're not
Yeah.
doing that, right?
Yeah.
They're
That's
going
true.
through a whole number of series of tests. Whether
That's
you
right.
name it chemistry, you
Oh
name
yeah.
it mechanical engineering, you name the field.
Oh
There's a
yeah.
set of processes in there.
Yeah.
We need to be able to come up with those kinds of discipline within
Sure.
our AI
Yeah.
structure itself,
Yeah.
where we go through those within reasons, right? We can't have like a barrage of
That's
verification
right.
tests for
Yeah.
everything. We'll be
Exactly.
sitting forever to get the results and get it approved and moved on.
You're right.
Move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
within
right.
reasons, needs to be subject by subject. Needs to be there. So that's my input on it. I mean, what else do you want to add to it,
Yeah.
Mary?
I think for this AI verification, even that's just what I'm thinking too. It's yeah, it's not finalized. I mean, nowhere near. And like you said, this probably should be using this combination of having LLM do the work, but also having human in the loop to, kind of really oversee it essentially. Yeah.
Mm.
So but I can definitely see there'll be advantage of having AI do verification, taking away a lot of the tedious and mundane. If you need to crunch through, so much information and all the data, everything. So it's still very good. But yeah, and that's what I feel. And I have not. I have to admit, I haven't worked much in this particular aspect. So that was good to hear from you too. You have more experience in this, Manny. So yeah.
No, I'm just scraping the surface and learning about it.
Yeah.
So this is
Yeah.
also very early stages of many things. A
Yeah,
lot of times people are not putting enough effort in this area
oh, yeah, that's
because
right.
of people are just blindly. The answer looks very interesting and amazing. People are
Yeah,
just going
right.
with it and
They
not.
just
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
One of the reasons I use Perplexity a lot more than I use ChatGPT is
yeah,
because
yeah,
Perplexity gives me more reason to believe that the
yeah,
information is coming from known
more
sources as opposed to with
interested.
ChatGPT. I don't know where
Yeah,
the information is coming from
yeah,
unless I keep asking it every time.
yeah,
Like cite me the resources, cite me
yeah,
the things like that.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good point, good point. Yes, yeah. So we do need to use this kind of technology with the critical eyes, actually. Yeah,
Correct.
always
Correct.
ask and
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
trust it right
And
away.
in today's time, at least when we are now relying on information age,
Exactly.
data models and things like that,
Yeah,
we need to know the sources. And even
totally.
then, we are not 100%, but it's better to know the sources and have the sources on the fingertips than
That's
not.
right. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
So wow. So we talk about quite a lot of things already. So should we wrap this up then? We have still one more item. It's
Yeah, I
basically
mean that
uh,
is definitely a if the item whatever we have left is
yeah,
sounds like a closing item. Let's cover it up for
exactly.
now.
Yeah.
We shouldn't
So
want to carry it on to the next episode, right? Because
here, that's right. So
it'll be
we wrap
fair
up
to yeah, for
exactly.
continuity purposes to wrap it up with that
Happy birthday.
topic,
Yeah.
covering
So
that topic.
that's right. So basically, too, we want to then look into the future outlook, right, of where things are today. Um, Essentially, all the different types of approaches. Like, for example, right, that we have different models, hybrid models that are essentially combining discriminative and generative elements to it, too. So all of these, we can kind of expect them to see because I think they each one has its own advantages so we can combine them they will make it even better essentially and then I think we're trying to also kind of take a look do we actually have a hybrid architecture diagram of combining discriminative and generative elements or have you seen one or
There should be one out there, so somebody must have created. But if we
yeah
haven't, then we can always find it and put
we
it as
can
a link on our video at
sure
the at an when we post the video.
yeah
So I'm
Yeah.
sure there's somebody already always out there generating such diagrams.
Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, yeah, cool. And then, of course, too, we kind of converging these different approaches, but also at the same time, what are the kind of trends, right? We can expect, right? What are emerging still? So I think one of the ones is basically the multimodal AI. They're essentially my understanding too, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, Manny. I think we have text, of course, text, and then the image, audio, and video, and
Hmm.
also like code generation. So now,
Hmm.
for example, I think the Codex model is for like GitHub Copilot uses that and
Hmm.
generating code. And I think there's also one more, which is the three-dimensional
Hmm.
model as well. So do we have any additional modes or mode?
Models. So I think when you said, so when you say models, we might want to think about our human faculties, right?
Yeah,
So we have vision,
yeah,
we have
that's
hearing,
yeah,
we
that's
have
right.
speech,
Speech, yeah,
right?
that's yeah.
Within those three, what kind of data do we get?
Mm-hmm.
It Visual, we have
Yeah,
vision, we have images.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Text is spoken and written and heard.
yeah,
So its
mm-hmm.
text can be, first text was only vision, like,
That's right.
right?
Yeah,
We could only read text in the chat GPT kind of interfaces, but now
yeah,
we can hear and speak into those models,
yeah,
right? But also now we can it can read images,
yeah. That's
right?
yeah,
And with the Sora
yeah,
and the VO development, we will now have multimedia, right?
yeah.
We'll
That's
have model generating videos, which means it's image and sound
yeah.
together,
That's
moving images and sound together,
right.
right?
Yeah,
So, but the modalities are text, image,
image
and
and
sound
audio. Yeah,
and
that's right.
audio. Right?
Yeah,
Of
that's
course, there are combinations and permutations of this.
mm-hmm.
Right?
That's right.
The combinations could be you make a video out of image and sound.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
You could use speech
yeah.
for speaking in, and speech for speaking out.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of using text as an input and output, now it'll go to
Yeah,
text as
text to
input and text as output to the
output.
sound
That's
faculty. And of course, a transcript may
yes,
will be generated
ex-
accordingly, right? Just for human record purposes.
yep,
Uh,
totally.
so so
Yeah,
those, yeah. So yeah, well said. Initially, the models were unimodal, right? Just
yeah,
text modality.
texting. Yeah,
Then it became image to text,
that's
text to image, right?
exactly.
Then it became
Yeah,
speech, text
yeah.
to speech, speech to
And then
text,
speech to
yeah,
text. Yeah,
and speech to speech
yeah,
now, right?
yeah,
Text
yeah.
to text always existed. That was the first modality. Yeah,
Exactly.
text to video and video to
To
text
yeah
were
to
the
text.
other next. Yeah,
That's pretty
and
cool.
now the other modality with combinations of this will be the text to
Yeah,
video.
to text.
There'll be also speech to video.
Yeah, totally.
But
Yeah, that's
these
pretty.
are combination permutation of the modality that already exists, right?
That's
From the basic modality. So yeah,
yeah,
emerging of that into one
yeah,
model. That means one
mm,
model, because we used to have a separate model for vision. Like, the, let's
yeah.
say, the stable diffusion
Good
model was a
vision, yeah,
separate
only
model compared to
yeah,
the text model, or
yeah,
even the text to video
yeah.
might have
That's
been
right.
overlapping the stable diffusion model, but it was different from the text to text model.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and there was a text to speech model and speech to text
yeah,
model, but that was separate from all of these, right? but
yeah.
but the emergence of all of these now into one model,
It's one model that
yeah,
that
that
can
is the hybrid. That's going to be the next
yeah.
generation.
Administration.
People are already
That,
working on it, and there's betas probably out there already.
yeah.
I think the latest,
Mm-hmm.
not the latest, the last model that OpenAI released, in their demo, they already showed that you could actually talk to what is
Oh,
GPT 4.0. You
yeah.
can
For
actually talk to it,
yeah.
and it can talk
For
back to you in speech.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So that's in all
if
in
you've
one
seen the
model.
OpenAI,
That's
this was
right.
a long time ago, actually, more than a
Yeah,
few months ago. If you've seen their release
that's
day,
right. That really, yeah.
they showed that they were talking to the model, and the model was talking back to it. I think the
Yeah,
same with I think Google demo did this as well in one
yeah.
of their Google I/O
So,
events.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
So, yeah.
so it's probably
Yeah.
beta state, but and it's been actually it's a usable release,
Yeah.
general
That's
general general availability
yeah.
already. But
Yep.
not all of the modalities like together in one of them, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Like
That's
you
right.
want to see like it generating video as well at the same time. At the
Yeah.
moment, it's not doing that. I
Yeah.
think it can generate images. I haven't tried at the same. I think it can generate images. It already speech is possible back
Yeah.
and forth.
That's
So there's a whole lot of stuff that's
yeah.
already there.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, looking forward to more sophisticated forms of this
Yeah.
merging of the modality. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one of the future outlooks, isn't it?
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So very cool. Yeah. Well, I guess then it's pretty much, yeah, I think we filled all the gaps for episode two that we
I'm hoping, but in case there are some more, I am happy for the audience to come back and write comments for us.
totally.
That so that we can,
Yeah,
if in another episode as a side topic, we can cover them.
that's right.
I mean, we can go endlessly talking about a lot of the things in this area, but
Yeah,
then we will not come out of the
yeah.
theoretical conversations
That's
about this
right.
topic, right?
Yeah, that's
And obviously, when we talk about other things in the coming episodes, we will be touching
yeah.
around these topics and subtopics and subtopics in
Oh,
some form or shape,
yeah,
isn't it?
totally.
So we'll never be going away from these discussions.
Yeah.
So happy to be asked about other
Mm.
areas. I'm not sure if anybody in your audience is waiting there to write a question to you, but that would be great to hear as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm trying to look too. I don't think anybody is saying anything. So, and if folks, if you are here, would like to share and give us some feedback or requests what we like to talk about, please do so. And also, too, I wanted to share. I have this my own Discord server. So if folks wants to get connected there, let me kind of quickly share. I think I already have something in here. So down here too, that's my Discord channel. But that let me also copy it so then uh, let me copy it so then folks don't have to like type it out. So let me post it on the chat as well. And where's my chat window? Too many things. Okay, here we go. So okay, so I just share my Discord and I'll also show it here too. So and it's also on the chat too. So yeah, feel free. Send me a message, join my server, and then yeah, Manny too is also on Discord, so we can be having a channel and talk about things. So that's the idea. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very very cool. Yeah, I think it's also late too in Manny's time zone in London. Yeah, yeah, thanks for staying up late. And yeah, I think it is great. And this is the episode we've been wanting to do before the holidays come, which is very soon now. And so, yeah, so I'm glad we get the chance to do this. Yeah, so,
Yeah, I'm happy as well. It's a great closing topic for the year,
yeah, that's
and
right.
it's also good to cover and close the discussions we started in episode 2. Obviously, discussions are never finished, and the topics are never finished. We are
Exactly.
happy to
Yeah,
continue with these, but these
yeah,
were some of the touch points that we wanted to touch
that's
base
right.
with,
Yeah,
and
balance.
expand on them to the within reasons, not to bore you, but to cover enough that gives you food for thought on some of the areas that we did cover when we did episode 1 and episode 2.
That's right. Exactly. So, yeah, very cool. So, okay. Well, with that, we want to wish everybody happy holidays. And I just wanted to put
Oh,
that out there.
that's a nice banner there.
Yeah.
Happy holidays to everyone. Have a nice Christmas and a new
Yeah.
year, and
Happy
see you
New
on the
Year.
other side, as they
You,
say.
yeah. See you. I hope all you bring friends, come to us and bring your questions,
Yeah,
requests. And yeah, we would love to have you. And I can even, if somebody has something to share, we can invite. And we plan to, in 2025, have some of the experts in the field to join us too. So yeah, so
absolutely.
please stay tuned and connect with us on here on Discord as well. So yeah, thank you. Follow us too. Subscribe to our channel. So thank you. Yeah,
Thank you,
wonderful.
everyone. Thanks,
Yeah,
Mary,
thank
for
you.
putting this together. Have a
Thank you.
good one, everyone.
Yeah,
Happy holidays. Speak to
yeah.
you soon. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Okay, bye. Yeah. And thank you so much, everybody. And let me then put up this finished video. Goodbye. Yeah.